Well, hello and welcome to the Curly Bookworm. So today I'm going to be doing a video called the Media Book Tag. It's a book tag where we talk about all the cool and different books that we've read in the first half of the year. Technically, I should have been doing this earlier this month, but better late than never. Okay, so the first question in the tag is best book you've read so far in 2022. I'm going to name two books because is there ever a best book? Is there? I don't think so. So the first one that I want to talk about is Know My Name by Chanel Miller. I read this in January, or I finished this in January. It was a tough book to read. It's an autobiography by the author, obviously, because it's an autobiography. It's a fairly serious book, but it's a very beautiful book. It is about the Stanford sexual assault case that happened in 2015 or 2016. I remember reading about it. It was all over the news, highly publicized, very controversial, and with good reason. It's about a woman who woke up being, like in a hospital, being completely unaware of where she is, how she got there. She had been sexually assaulted and she didn't remember it, and there was a whole controversy around it because she was at a frat party and she had been assaulted there. I'm not going to get into the gory details of it. If you know, you already know. If you don't, the story isn't about the assault itself, but what happens after, how she has to deal with it after, what happens in her mind, what happens during the court case, how she has to prep for it, and what kind of marks it leaves behind as a woman, how terrified you are everywhere you go. And this particular case, there was a lot of public opinion because it was so publicized and everybody was talking about it. Everybody had an opinion on, oh, she should have done this, she shouldn't have done that. And like, shut up, But anyway, this is not about my shut up opinion. It's about the fact that this woman essentially has written down what she went through emotionally and mentally for the next couple of years as she fought the court case and as she fought, for herself in court and for her dignity in court. And it is beautiful, it's tragic, it is also extremely brave, because the reason it's titled Know My Name is because she's basically saying, you've called me, Emily, or like basically a false name. I think it's Emily. Anyway, they've, made up a name for her because her identity is not revealed publicly because it's a legal thing. But she says here, now that it's all over and I'm sort of getting over it, this is what my name is, and you have to know my name and you have to know who I am. Don't talk about me as if I'm a dummy. That it's easier to have all of these, opinions about this is what she should have done when you don't really know who this person is. And so it's a beautiful, beautiful book. I really hope, my hope is that boys also read this book, men also read this book, because you need to know what it feels like for a woman. It's important. Anyway, I'm not getting into the political controversy of it. I am not. This is not my social media, but you guys have to read this book. It's a really, really good book. The second book that I've read, which was fantastic this year, was my last book. It's called Dawn by Octavia Butler. This was written in 1986 or something like that, which is mind-blowing because it's so relevant even today. It is a sci-fi first contact with aliens type of book. It's totally nuts, you guys. It's nuts. One of my favorite booktubers, Emily Fox, talked about it. And she has been fangirling about it for a while now. And I was like, well, it can't be that good. But I got into it and I was like, oh my God, it is that good. This particular book is about this woman called Lilith who wakes up not on Earth. The Earth has been destroyed by humans themselves in various ways that only humans can. And so she has been rescued by a bunch of aliens and she's woken up. And now they're telling her that it's time for her to go back to Earth with a whole bunch of people, and she is to lead this group of people who are going back to Earth. Obviously, it's a tough task because, you're not going to have the internet, you're not going to have TV, you're not going to have anything except like dense wild forests with crazy animals, and you have to survive, and, all of that's going to happen. So they want her to lead the group. And So she's being trained to train, and it's interesting because in the meanwhile she learns about all kinds of culture nuances about the aliens culture, but she also understands many things about humans and how they think and how they behave. And it's terrifying in certain points. It feels like, oh my god, this is an eventuality, we're all going to kill ourselves because we're basically really stupid. But in other ways, it's just like, it's a beautifully written book. It is provocative, very, very intense, but really, really great. So I would definitely try and like read this book. The next question is best sequel you've read so far in 2022. This would be again Rachel. I've talked about this book in a previous video. This is the book that comes after Rachel's Holiday by Marian Keyes. It is a wonderful book. I don't have my copy right now, a friend has it, but it's a wonderful book. I'm not going to tell you about again Rachel, but I will tell you that Rachel's Holiday was published like 25 years ago. That's insane. So like fans of Rachel, fans of the series of books called the Walsh Family series, did not expect her to like write another Walsh book, and it was amazing. I finally read it and I loved it just as much as the first one, maybe even a little bit more, but I can't say. The first book is about Rachel, who has an addiction. She is an addict, but she doesn't want to admit it, and so she goes to rehab on the suggestion and insistence of her family and her friends. And she says, she's like rolling her eyes and she's like, fine, I'll just go and I'll treat it as like this spa chill time. They don't understand that I'm not an addict, and they'll know soon enough. And she goes in there, and then she finds out that she in fact is an addict, and she goes through the whole journey of dealing with that. Sounds really intense, sounds really tough, but it's really not. It is in bits and parts, but mostly it's a riot, because Marian Keyes is one of my favorite authors and she's so funny. She can be thought provocative while still being hilarious, and so I would definitely urge you to pick up this book. Okay, so the next question is new release you haven't read yet but want to. So this would be To Paradise by Hanya Yanagihara. I always have problems pronouncing that name. Hanya Yanagihara. So this author is a tricky one. I have read, I am still reading this other book by this author called A Little Life. I have been reading this book for such a long time, you guys. I can't even begin to tell you. I have to take long breaks away from it, because while it is written beautifully, the story is amazing. It is so tough to read, and I'm crying through the whole thing. It is just a weep fest. That book is about four best friends who live in New York and their life across, the decades. And it's tragic, it's happy, it's all of it. But the tragic moments are really tragic and it's heartbreaking. So it's taking me a long time to take breaks and like go back to the book. However, I still want to read this new book that has come out this year, To Paradise. It is again one of those stories that spans across time. However, this one is across 3 centuries. It's 1893, 1993, and 2093, which is interesting because it also takes you full on into the future as well, in New York, which is one of my favorite cities, if not the favorite city in the whole world. So for me, I'm really interested in reading this book because it deals with the issues of the time. If I'm right about this author, will be highly in-depth in terms of character, and I'm really excited about reading this book. When I will get to it, I have no idea, because I have to finish A Little Life first, and I just sometimes feel like I don't have the guts to finish A Little Life because it's just so hard. It's beautiful, but it's so hard. The next question is the most anticipated release for the second half of the year. This would be Blake Crouch's Upgrade. I have read Dark Matter by the same author, which is sci-fi, but it's one of those really accessible sci-fi books. Super pacey, super quick, super awesome. This one is about a man who wakes up one day to find that he is smarter and thinks faster. He's better and superior in many, many ways, and he can hear better and he can see better, and he's just like, what's going on? So turns out that he has been chosen for some sort of a genome upgrade, and so this book is the journey of finding out what that is, who has done this to him, and what that means. The next question is, what was the biggest disappointment of the year so far? It was called Book Lovers by Emily Henry. It released this year. It was the talk of the town. She also wrote Beach Read, which I have read, which I really liked. But this one was, I don't know, like, it wasn't bad. It was a good book. It just was fairly disappointing. I mean, it wasn't exciting. It wasn't as fun as I thought it would be. Maybe it was too hyped on BookTube, and so it was just like, okay, like, not really what I thought you would be. So this one is about a woman who, you know, can't find love. She finds it difficult to find love, and she has this pregnant sister who wants to get away. So they leave to a small town, and then she finds herself trapped in like this small town, you know, hate to love story. And it's ironic because she's a book publisher or a book agent, and she does this for a living, and she's just like, really, I'm caught in this sarcastic piece of story? Like, that's crazy. When I started this book, it was really great because I felt like it was hilarious. Like, the banter between the two main characters was so funny, but I didn't feel like the overall character arc was really great. In many ways it was fine, like it was okay, but it was kind of disappointing. I expected more from it. The next question is, what was the biggest surprise? I read this book called Love and Gelato. Again, I don't have it on me right now. Love and Gelato is like, I didn't expect to like it. I was in a bookshop, he insisted I buy it, and I was just like, fine, and the book cover was yummy, so I was like, fine. And I've been seeing it in BookTube. I just didn't think it was my type of thing. It is it's a YA book. Like, it's about this young girl who is made to move to Italy, and she hates it there. I mean, first of all, why would you hate it? Why would you hate to live in Italy? But anyway, the point is, she's a teenager and she's unpredictable. So she moves to Italy, at least for the summer, and she hates it there. And then she meets a whole bunch of friends. She discovers a whole bunch of things about her life and her mother, who has recently died. And then it gets exciting. So yeah, so this is a book about falling in love with Italy, falling in love with yourself, finding out all of these things about family and yourself. And it was a surprise because I genuinely thought that, I don't know, I'm not into YA as much anymore. And so I was like, I don't know if it'll be too cheesy for me, but it was nice. It was a pleasant surprise. Okay, so the next question is, favorite new author, debut or new to you? This one's new to me. She isn't as new, really. She's not a debut author. Her name is Alana Ferrante. When I picked up this book, at the time, I hadn't at all heard about this author. I picked it up because it was a beautiful cover, and I was just like, I know I'm shallow like that as a person sometimes, but I was just like, okay, let's try it. And I really liked the writing. I really liked the style of writing. It was gorgeous. The story was great too, but the style of writing itself was really pretty. And so yeah, that is definitely, you know, my answer for favorite new author that I will be reading more from, for sure. The next question is, who is your newest fictional crush? I am here to report that I do not have fictional crushes. Well, I do, but I don't have any this year. The next question is, who's your favorite character? It would have to be Giovanni from The Lying Life of Adults. Let me show you the book. This is the book. I was trying to like not show you the book because there's a question in the book tag that asks what is the favoriteest book cover or something like that, and it's this one because just look at it. It's gorgeous. I may as well answer it now. Just look at that color combination. Who would have, I mean, cream and purple and red? That's insane, right? Like, just crazy. So this book is about a girl. Like, it's a pubescent preteen sort of story of a girl who is discovering herself. She thinks she's ugly. Her parents are going through a tough time. Her family is going through a tough time. And she's an Italian girl born in Naples, and she wants to see the world. And she feels like she's cocooned here. She's a very intelligent girl. Her parents are intellectuals, so she reads a lot and all of that. So everything is in her life feels out of her depth, but at the same time really close. I feel like I'm being poetic about it, but I understand. I know how she feels because a lot of it I connected with so much, because I remember thinking those thoughts really when I was growing up. Not everything that she thought at all, not even remotely, but a lot of the complex sort of thoughts that she had while she was growing up, and that they've detailed out, felt really true to me. And it's insane how reflective it is of a complex teenage mind. And it was very refreshing. She was a very refreshing character, because in this, I would characterize this as YA, but like not as the usual YA, because the usual YA books are very light. The characters are nice, but like not intellectual. So this was a really nice sort of window into a young woman's mind, a growing woman's mind. And I thought it was really interesting. Like, her character was so uniquely like interesting. So the next question is a book that made you cry, and I would say Know My Name. That was a tough one, the one that I told you in the beginning. It was a tough one. It was beautiful, but it was definitely tough to read, and so I would just straight up name that book. Next book is a book that made you happy. Again, I'm going to repeat a book. This is Love and Gelato. It just was a happy book. It had a happy vibe, and so we'll go with that. The next question is the most beautiful book you've bought so far this year or received. This is again The Lying Life of Adults. Come on, very beautiful. I've already said it. The last question is, what books do you need to read by the end of the year? Literally everything that I've bought this year. I have book shopped so much this year. It's insane. I have done a haul video recently. I will link this below. You can go take a look at it. But all of those books need to be read. You can't just buy pre-book Shabani and then be like, I will read it one day in my life. No, you have to read them because you paid for them, and they are lovely and they're beautiful and they deserve to be read. Okay, stop buying books on your Kindle and like leaving all of the physical books for, I don't know whom. But anyway, so that is like what I need to read. It's my TBR pile. So that's it from me for today. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a thumbs up and share the video. There are lots of book recommendations within this video, which I'm sure people who also read in your life will enjoy. And leave me comments, because I like to think that I'm actually talking to people here. Thanks so much for joining me. I will see you in my next video, which will be either about a book or books or art. I will see you soon.